Hi everyone, I'm Dave Giancola, joined again by Mike Drossel for another U.S. Open Classic finish. Thank you for joining us. 2014 marked the first time that the U.S. Open and the U.S. Women's Open were played on the same course in the same year. And Mike, it had to be Pinehurst #2, of course. A week after Martin Kaymer won by 8 strokes at the Donald Ross Gem, it was time for the best players in the women's game to go after their coveted title.
Yeah, Dave, phenom Michelle Wie led by 3 strokes through 36 holes, but was joined at the top of the leaderboard by U.S. Women's Open stalwart Amy Yang after 3 rounds. Starting an hour before the leaders in her final round, American Stacy Lewis birdied 5 of her first 10 holes to surge into second place.
And while all that was going on, Michelle Wie reeled off 8 consecutive pars after opening with a bogey, and we'll join her on the par 5 10th.
Back at the tee, Michelle Wie. Let's take a look at this hole. As I said before, just 452 yards. Tee shot is the shot that sets the entire hole up. Right is no good. This is where the men drove it last Sunday, up to the right of this fairway bunker, and that's where they laid up to right there. And they had 100 yards or so for their third shot, but not Michelle. She can reach it in 2.
This is one of the most right side with a hard draw here, Mark.
I was going to say, Roger, this is one of the most important rounds of Michelle Wie's life, and I think this is one of the most important holes in that round.
Well, yesterday, Mark, she had driver an 8-iron to this par 5, and the whole location today is much easier, so you would think she should end up with a good look at an eagle.
Back to 14.
There, where Stacy Lewis, Mark, is still fighting her way out of the native area.
Has not drawn a good lie at all. She is amongst the native grasses, the wiregrass.
Do you like hitting something up there, or do you think you just get it out there like a college balls?
I'd like to have something.
So just chipping it out right there?
Yeah, that's right.
Looks like she's decided again to just punch this one out.
I think, Monica, that
I just worry about this stuff wrapping around my neck.
Exactly.
you can't compound the mistake. I mean, you're still in this. Give yourself a chance to make a 5. You've got 4 more holes left. 17 could be a birdie hole, 18 could be a birdie hole.
No, you're absolutely right, and she knows. She's been watching the leaderboard, and she knows how important it is. And really now, just kind of get her on the green and make a putt and save.
And you know the rest of the field, they're going to have their problems on the way in as well. So she lies 3 out of the fairway at 14, a par 4. And Michelle Wie is 1 under as she plays the 10th.
Welcome back to the U.S. Women's Open final round. This is Stephanie Meadow at the 10th green for an eagle 3. She's just +4, trailing by 5 shots.
Knocked out 3. Mark, she just turned pro last Sunday. Actually was an alternate after the qualifying. Didn't even know if she was going to get into this Women's Open, and found out a couple of weeks later that a spot opened up for her.
Over at 14, the 4th from 81 yards now for Lewis. Somehow make a 5 here. She just might do it.
The way to do it.
Boy, patient on this hole, having to punch out twice. It might pay off and only lose 1 there out of 10.
See if Julie Inkster can put an eagle putt right on top of Stephanie's. This from behind the hole. She hit it? No. Up to 11.
Son Young Yu, this for par. Trying to avoid a 3rd bogey in the last 4 holes and stay in it. Now she's now to +3, drifting 4 back.
That club has not been her greatest asset this week either. 95 putts through 3 rounds, well down in the stats.
Ahead to 10.
Julie Inkster tapped in for birdie. This now Amy Yang's 2nd shot.
Yeah, 192. We'll cut it on the front of the green, only 10 paces. So any miss just in front of the green is really pretty good.
Landed a little farther short than she had in mind, so that will not bounce up. Doesn't show Michelle Wie much. Take a look at the ball strike here. To be her normal long, languid swing. And seemed to catch the ball first and then the turf, so simply didn't hit it hard enough. Now Michelle Wie.
Just 170 left. 160 to cover the front edge. It's a little downwind and a little bit left to right, maybe.
Keep in mind, folks, this is a par 5. Very important shot for Michelle.
Pretty crisp. Pretty good looking shot.
Terrific result. What a beautiful shot by Michelle Wie. She leaves it about 8.5 feet below the hole, putting up the hill.
And let's take a look at this swing, Annika. It is so powerful. Wonderful athletic setup position.
Oh, you can see how still the lower body is. She's just really turning the shoulders really well. But then again, keeping that, you know, the width and the angle there. And then she's coming down pretty steep. And again, staying down, extending through the target. And you can see how straight she is with on the left side.
I love how she maintains her spine angle through the shot. And I think that is being helped by that quiet lower body, which she has worked on very hard this week with David Ledbetter, her instructor.
Well, let's see if all that hard work on the putting green paid off last night for Lewis, trying to roll it in for bogey, and that is a huge save for bogey 5 for Stacy Lewis, who punched out twice and still is on Wie's heels. Michelle Wie will have an eagle putt at the 10th when we return to Pinehurst. One of the many famous landmarks here in the village of Pinehurst, the Carolina Hotel, opened on New Year's Day back in 1901. It has long been dubbed the Queen of the South. Not a bad place to hang out on one of those sweeping verandas. Annika, you're staying there. You have a chance to relax out there a little bit?
Not too shabby.
Not a bad place to stay. An eagle try now, Mark, for Michelle Wie.
And Roger Maltby, I would think this is a very nice putt for her.
A little underneath the hole, might go just a little right. And I can confirm now that was an 8-iron from the fairway, so a couple of big hits here. A great looking eagle.
I love that she's playing aggressive. That's why she has this eagle putt.
Michelle Wie opens a 4-shot lead with an eagle 3 at 10. That is a statement maker there.
First big full display of emotion there, Mark.
Take a look at the emotion from Michelle. She's had an eerie calmness about herself all week long, but you can see just how important that hole was for her.
And Mark talked about that 4-shot lead. It's over this woman, Stacy Lewis.
Sit.
At the par 3 15th.
Sit.
Talking to it.
Sit.
And it listens.
Sit.
Let's get you back to 10.
Amy Yang played a beautiful 3rd shot. Meanwhile, this now for a birdie. She climbs into a tie with Stacy Lewis for 2nd. And of course, she is back in the group with Michelle as we go to 12.
And Jane is following this group with So-Yeon Yu.
And Steve, the wind has picked up a little bit out here, just coming into the players from the north. 181 yards for So-Yeon.
Passes off nicely.
Boy, have a moment. A reminder to get ready for a special all-new America's Got Talent tonight with surprises, stunts, and the best talent yet. It's one show-stopping Sunday. 9/8 Central. Out to 11 for Julie Inkster and her 2nd.
Trying to turn it a little right to left, and you can't get left of this hole. There's one of Donald Ross's little false edges. What appeared to be a good shot doesn't turn out very well.
We'll keep it right here for Stephanie Meadow. And what a way to make your professional debut. And I know you know a little bit more about Stephanie Annika and how she kind of got to this point in her game.
I do, and I talked a little bit to her today. She's really excited to be here, of course, and playing in the second to last group with Hall of Famer Julie Inkster. But you know, she might not look very big, but she's actually added 8 pounds of muscle this year. She knows what she needs to do. She's really into fitness, and she works with Pia Nilsson on Vision 54 to get the mental aspect of the game ready as well.
Led the Crimson Tide to the NCAA title as a sophomore back in 2012, won a school record 9 tournaments from Northern Ireland.
So she grew up playing at Portrush. That's a pretty nice place to play as a kid.
Graham McDowell knows all about that, and Graham McDowell went to UAB, University of Alabama at Birmingham in his collegiate career. So
Portrush just named a British Open will be going back there in a few years.
this has kind of the look of a British
yeah, a little
Open.
bit. It certainly does. And Raj, big hole now for Michelle Wie. The tee's been moved up yesterday. This was kind of the start of a really rough patch for her when she hit driver and hit it dead left off the tee and led to a double bogey. So expect to see less than driver.
Oh yes, today it's just 382 and it's wind aided. Probably a little right to left. It's certainly helping, so no need for driver.
Like right between that tree and the USGA.
Like it would be a great spot for that little low stinger that she likes to hit. Just get the thing on the ground quickly, let it run, hit it nice and straight.
Gary, she birdied the 10th yesterday and then doubled this hole, bogeyed the 12th, bogeyed the 14th when it looked like she might distance herself.
This is that low stinger. It's right up to center. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to run forever.
I think it's on the ground more than it's in the air.
Well, that's you know, a good way to keep the ball in play, especially on a course that's running and firm like this one is.
I'm telling you, that ball didn't get much more than 10 feet off the ground. I mean, that was low.
So it got just over your head?
Well, I'm standing behind to the left, Gary.
Oh, okay.
Try to stay out of the way of play.
So here's Yang, 4 back, tied with Lewis.
Yeah, I think driver is a good choice for Amy here. I mean, she really needs to make a charge. I know there's still a few more holes, but doesn't seem like Michelle is going to give any away at the moment.
Oh my God.
It's nice up the right-hand side. That'll carry over the first part of the native stuff. That should be just fine.
She really does have a beautiful tempo.
Wonderful rhythm. Yep.
Let's go up to the other player on the heels of Wie, Lewis.
She has this long birdie attempt at the par 3 15th.
Steve, this is a 30-footer. She 3-putt this hole yesterday, and she's putting so much better today after a long session with her college coach, Shauna Lewis Estes.
Let's go back to 14.
Second for Lexi Thompson. Did a pretty good job of bringing it back after some problems yesterday. Birdied the 18th when we last saw her yesterday. +1 today. Good chance there. Back to 12.
Where Yu has a birdie attempt now. She's suddenly 6 shots back of the lead after that eagle by Michelle Wie on the 10th. Sung-Hyun Yu will not make any hay there at the 12th. Michelle Wie, however, did awfully well. 100 today in the final round. She is in search of her first ever major championship, and she always provides great reactions when she makes a birdie or eagle like that one.
Couple finishes worth noting earlier. Inbee Park, the defending champion and last year's player of the year, for a birdie at the last. You can see she was well back at +13, but she was the first player to win the first 3 majors of the year since Babe Diedrichson Zaharias pulled it off back in 1950. 8 under as the winner at Sabonic last year. 4-shot win, 73 today, and well back. Touched on Katrina Matthew, finishing up with a 66 earlier today to match Julie Inkster in the round of the championship. What a round for Katrina Matthew. Her best round in 18 U.S. Opens. And again, the second oldest to make the cut. 66 for Matthew. 6 birdies, 1 eagle, 3 bogeys, +5 for the championship. And while we were away, this was Stephanie Meadow looking to get closer.
Putt that's pretty straight. Just dives left.
Inkster made par here to stay at +5. And so Meadow stays at +2. And we go up to 13.
Sakura Yokomini, this was her second shot just a moment ago. She went on to make a birdie. So that hole lies in wait. We go back to 11.
And Michelle Wie after that low, boring shot off the tee, Raj.
133 left, and again, wind helping, a little right to left, but you got to be looking a little underneath the hole and right of the hole here.
It's a big full swing, so trying to hoist it way up in the air.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Middle of the green, 2-putt, make your par.
4-shot lead, back 9, coming off eagle. No time to get too brave. In fact, Michelle says she's trying to find that nice balance of aggressive, not too aggressive. Over at 14, Thompson for birdie. She should stay at +4. Back at 11 for Yang, Raj.
And from the right side with as good an angle as you're going to get here, this for 130.
Yeah, they shortened this hole a little bit so the players can be a little bit more aggressive today. We're seeing a few more birdie opportunities.
And Yang a little more aggressive than Wie for her birdie putt. And over to 18, the 16-year-old Brooke Henderson from Smith Falls, Ontario. What a day for her. 69. Solid week for the amateur. Michelle Wie trying to finish off a week which could provide her her first major of her career, a career we've been watching for more than a decade.
Danny, we're going to take a look at, I think, one of the most powerful swings in women's golf. And watch as Michelle Wie gets to impact. Now, this is such a great position. This reminds me of men players. I mean, look at right here. We zoom in. Look at how the shaft is ahead of the club face. She's hitting down on the ball. She's spinning it. She's compressing it. Look at the spine angle. Look at the head staying down and the extension with the arms pulling the body on around. I mean, it's no wonder that she's hitting these fabulous iron shots into these greens. When you have that kind of speed and compression on the ball, you're going to spin it and you have a chance to control it.
You talk all about the players that we have seen now for years and years, and we'll throw you in there, Annika, as you know, one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent players ever. But as far as just pure natural talent, ability, I don't think anybody has more than this now 24-year-old. It's just been packaging it up, putting it all together, getting in the mental state that she needs to be in to win championships like this.
Yes, it's taken her a little while, a journey, but what we're seeing now is the full potential.
That's good speed. There you go. Easy par.
Yep. She'll take 7 more of those.
Absolutely.
And walk out of here a winner, unless just somebody goes nuts like Stacy Lewis, who is 4 back at the 16th.
And Dan, she has hit a beautiful drive, very aggressive drive down the left-hand side, which went a long way. It's a good 275 yards. And Mark, it's left her a great angle to this back right hole location.
It really is. Just got to make sure that this ball is not heading slightly right of the hole location. It'll end up over in that bunker.
This hole has yielded the fewest birdies of any hole on the golf course.
And that is exactly what I was talking about.
I think she missed her mark by about a pace and a half too far to the right.
And just earlier, while that was happening, this was So Yeon Yu at the 13th tee. Once again, Par 4, just 236 yards today. And long is okay here.
It just leaves a very quick downhill right-breaking putt.
Well, July 5th, the Tour de France begins on NBCSN. 21 days, the world's greatest cyclists begin that ride for glory. It's the Tour de France, part of NBC Sports Championship season, beginning July 5th, bright and early at 6 a.m. on NBCSN. Out at the 11th, Yang for birdie.
Yeah, similar putt that we just saw Meadow hit. It was a little left.
That's for 2 in a row. That would have been big to get it back to even. And within 3 of her playing competitor Wee, but she will stay at +1. Tied for second with Lewis, 4 off the pace. Up to the 13th.
All right. This is Patlam's 3rd shot. Now, remember Retief Goosen in the men's open last week. He hit it on the green in 1, putted it all the way off the front of the green, and got it up and down for a par. Actually, he made bogey. Did not get it up and down. Patlam just did the same thing, but she's going to at least make par. So a little bit of an advantage for So Young Yu to see that ahead of her. She'll know how fast that putt she has for eagle will be.
So the big hole of the day thus far for the leader Michelle Wee was the eagle at the 10th, which has given her a 4-shot lead. Had a 3-shot lead to begin the day yesterday. Started the day tied for the lead with Amy Yang, and now is 4 clear to Lewis and Yang. Others giving chase. Looks like they're running out of holes, especially with the difficulty of this golf course. Julie Inkster at +5. There is Matthews 66, which tied Inkster for the best round of the championship. Lydia Ko with a nice round today, 69. Hall of Famer Kari Webb down there at +8 through 13. As we get you back out to the course, and Lewis at 16.
A little bit of an awkward lie here, Kay, in the bunker.
It is. The ball's a little below her feet, and there's a tiny lump of sand, sort of a ridge of sand right behind her ball.
Hard to get much spin on that shot, as Kay described it, and that will wander on by some 12 feet. Now, for an eagle 2 at 13, So Young Yu, she needs to be very careful with this one.
It's all about pace here, a little quick, left to right.
It's going to slow down. It eases another 2 or 3 feet.
Back to 12.
Second shot of Stephanie Meadow in trouble off the tee to the right. Oh, just doesn't get it out of that native area.
Well, fortunately, the ball appears to be sitting okay, Steve. So.
Yeah. So now back on the tee at 12. Here's the leader by 4, Michelle Wee. She's had a birdie that came in the first round. She had a bogey that came yesterday, and a par came on Friday. Gary, as you take a look at 12.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the 12th. Par 4, 416 yards. The shaded area you see there is where the men were playing their second shots from, around the 190 yards in the final round of last week's men's U.S. Open. Slight dog leg to the right. Really important to hit the fairway off the tee. You don't want to be playing out of one of those natural areas into this green.
Back to Stephanie Meadow now. Jane, she has her 3rd shot here from what looks like a decent lie.
Yeah, not too bad. A little bit of a sandy lie over here right by the fairway bunker. Not a terribly good pitch out. I know she was not happy with that. Facing a shot now, Steve, of 161 yards. The wind has died just a little bit now. 114 today and 6 off the right.
Imagine what's going through her mind. Annika, first professional event, and she's on the first page of the leaderboard on Sunday at the best women's championship of them all, the U.S. Women's Open.
Yes, so we'll see Sue sometimes to get caught up in on the leaderboard. She just got to focus on what she needs to do.
She was saying she had played in a couple of previous majors, Women's Open back in 2012, and then also the Women's British Open in that year, and that was helping her a lot. A well-played shot there, Steve.
But never as a pro, Gary.
Well,
This one
that's
counts.
correct.
This one.
That's correct. But, you know, she knows what to expect. I mean,
Absolutely.
Being inside the ropes with big crowds.
Terrific shot there. Let's go back to the tee. It's interesting what the USGA did this week here, Roger. They've played it up twice. They played it back twice. Today, back 416 yards.
And into the breeze, but she does have out fairway wood here. Not going with the driver, Gary. Maybe she heard you.
Well, I tell you, if she could replicate the shot she hit on the last hole off the tee, it would work just fine.
Oh, yes, it would. That low BB would be perfect into this wind. And that's what she's playing. A little bit higher than the last one, but right in the middle. Chase was.
Yeah, I remember Lee Trevino saying, you know, anytime I wanted to get the ball in the fairway, low. Hit it low.
Let's get you up to 16.
Where Stacy Lewis is running out of holes, and the last thing she wants to do is be giving shots away. This for a par. That will be low all the way, so a bogey 5 for Lewis. She falls back to +2. Back to 12.
Where Amy Yang is now all of a sudden alone in second. We came on the air. They were on the 7th hole. She was 4 over par, and I was saying she's playing her way out of this championship. But here she is in second alone, 4 shots back after steadying the ship since then.
Her ball flight normally high, which this is, and headed right. This may need a good bounce to stay in the fairway, and I don't think it got it.
Nope, it's in the native area, but it looks to be away from some of the greenery in there. Let's go to 13.
This was So-Yeon Yu for birdie, her second putt on this par 4. That's the way to play a hole, a drive and 2 putts for a birdie. So she is hanging in there at +2. She trails Michelle Wie by a full 5 shots, but plenty of difficult holes ahead. Michelle Wie with a 4-stroke lead at the Women's Open.
At the 12th, Stephanie Meadow. This is for par. Oh, that is really, really good for here at the 12th, considering she was in trouble after her tee shot and her second shot. Over to 17.
And Stacy Lewis off the tee, 161-yard par 3 with a 7-iron, 5 back.
Well, she has got to go birdie to have any chance.
And hope.
Well, the whole location's in the front there, and that she got that going.
And over to 13.
Minjee Lee is 1 shot behind in the race for low amateur here, and this her second shot at 13, nearly. One bounced it into the jar. She will have a very quick birdie putt down the hill here. #1 ranked amateur player in the world, Minjee Lee. Take a look at the amateur leaderboard here. There is Brooke Mackenzie Henderson, who is in with a beautiful round of 69. Minjee Lee's got a little work to do if she's going to pick up a shot the last few holes. Playing quite difficult right now, and they have lapped the field. The 2 at the top. We go back to 14.
Pointed on Patlum, colorfully dressed. And usually, Annika, I understand her caddy, her brother, is matching her clothes, but he's not on the bat today.
But you can see him in the amongst the spectators very clearly. And look at that shot. That's a great shot from Patlum.
Yeah, no surprise. She was #1 in the field in greens hit in regulation coming into this final round, tied with Stacy Lewis.
A colorful golf ball to top it all off.
Well, it matches part of her outfit, didn't it?
Speaking of colorful, you've got Michelle Wie in the turquoise top, purple shorts, and you see the kinesio tape on her left leg. She says that's been like an arts and crafts session every morning. Her leg's been a little sore. She likes to put that tape on there to kind of keep it in place. But it does add even more color to the statuesque Wie.
And she's on her way to adding substance to that style right now with a 4-shot lead.
69 here. I think underneath the hole and left of the hole would be in order. This is going to be underneath, but okay, if it stops, that's all right.
Yeah.
17 now.
Stacey Lewis for a birdie.
Yeah, very quick putt here. Will be moving to the right. Got it.
All right, so maybe Stacey Lewis can get it to even with a birdie at 18, like you talked about, Gary. And even is in the hunt, because you know what can happen on this course in a hurry, even though Wee's at 3 under. At 12,
Amy Yang.
Good lie in the native area here, 160. Good contact, but going a little right. That should find the bunker.
And it does, as it makes its way down to the bottom of that bunker.
Okay, the 69th United States Women's Open is being brought to you by GE Capital. What we know can help you grow. By Callaway, get Bertha Long. You can't argue with physics. By Rolex, the official timekeeper of the USGA and its championships. And by GolfAdvisor.com, thousands of course reviews by golfers for golfers. Partly cloudy skies in the Pinehurst area on this championship Sunday, and the aerial coverage again provided by Goodyear, consistently atop the leaderboard of superior performing tires. Goodyear, more driven. Back down on the course to 13.
Minjee Lee now for a birdie. Very quick putt down the hill, breaks to her right. And broke just a little bit too much to her right. She will still have a little bit of work left as we go up to 17.
And Paula Creamer for a birdie.
And this is another quick putt. She'll just get this started straight down the hill.
Creamer, another one of those golfers here. Beautiful roll there. That was so excited to get to Pinehurst #2. Of course, won her championship at Oakmont, another classic golf course. Let's pinpoint this one at 14 for So Young Yu. 38 feet up the slope, and you can see breaking a little bit to her left, especially in the last 5-6 feet or so. You at +2, 5 off the pace, and kind of like Lewis needs to kind of make a run here.
Annika always felt like on greens this fast, when you finally did get an uphill putt, it was very hard to allow yourself to hit it firmly enough.
Well, that's the trick. Knowing when to hit it and knowing when not to hit it. You know, normally So Young Ryu is pretty good with the pace, and she did very well there.
Interesting to hear her talk about her first round here. She said, I was nervous the entire
all
first
18 holes.
round. And here is a young woman, just 23 years old, who won this championship at the Broadmoor back in 2011. Did it in a playoff on a weather-delayed event out there in Colorado. Back to 12.
Where Michelle Wie is short of the green. Looks like she's in the brown stuff, Raj.
Yeah, electing to chip it putting, I think, would be a real good option from here uphill. Okay.
Spends a lot of time now that she lives in Jupiter at the Bears Club, and they have a wonderful short game practice area there. She, you know, Luke Donald hangs out there, Keegan Bradley. She plays some with those guys, and she was saying she's learned a lot of shots watching the men. Ball way back in her stance. Look how far hands are ahead of the club face.
And also how low they are to the ground.
Yep, great technique. Don't try to help the ball in the air.
Now Yang's turn from the bunker.
Pretty good lie here underneath the surface of the green.
She's going to have to get it way up and let it land softly. She does not have a lot of green to work with. And the key to do that is to move the ball forward in the stance and have soft hands, quick shoulders.
She's got a lot of work left for her par. Back to that in a second, but first to 13.
Stephanie Meadow on the tee with a driver.
This is an interesting play, an aggressive play from a young lady.
Yeah, it certainly is, leaning like it's going a little left.
Ricochets almost out of the bunker, but back in.
Kind of refreshing, though. No agent. And still works with her college coach as her teacher.
Get the feeling there's going to be one soon.
Yeah, I would think so.
Okay, here's Stacey Lewis, closest to Wie. along with Yang off the tee at 18. 391-yard par 4. Certainly, if you get in position, Gary, you can make a 3.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this is the toughest shot. This is the hardest fairway on the entire golf course to hit. So she's got the tough shot out of the way. Hole location in the kind of back right, the Payne Stewart hole location. But she should have a short iron in and a chance for a 3.
Back to Patlam at the 14th. Trying to get within 5.
Got to hit it.
Not even close. Patlam working on an even par round after beginning the day at +3. And a reminder that you can watch golf live extra. You can see coverage of golf from all around the globe. Download the free Golf Live Extra app now at golfchannel.com/live extra. To the 12th,
where Yang has this par attempt
and should go a little to her right.
Hasn't made a bogey since the 7th.
It really looks like she's given up a little bit. I know she got off to a tough start. It's tough to get back into the game, but it's not over yet.
Well, I would think too, Monica, when you get off to that bad a start, it's got to be discouraging because you know it's a tough golf course. There are only so many birdie opportunities. You know, you're hard to make up ground on a golf course like this.
When you're in the final group on again, Gary, and you birdie the 10th and don't gain a stroke or even match what your partners have, that can be discouraging. So Yang is in with 5. Drops back to 2 over par. Michelle has a little one now to remain at 3 under.
She's sticking to her routines even on these shorter putts, just making sure that it goes as planned.
Get up and down, another par. Check it off. That's all she's looking for at this point. Pars. Pars are good.
4-shot lead for Michelle Wie with 6 holes to play at the U.S. Women's Open. Let's go to the last.
Good look at that hole location. Payne Stewart hole location from 15 years ago. Paula Creamer next to play.
And Dan, both Paula and Stacy had excellent drives. Paula 5 paces behind where Lewis will hit from.
The ladies have been playing the front tees all week. Spoke to Mike Davis and he said, we're going to play from the very back one day. But somehow they change their minds. So that's why you see the ladies a little more in front and can attack the pin.
Paula's caddy there. Colin Can working on a little drill that they do all the time, trying to keep Paula's head up. She has a tendency, as she makes her downswing, to kind of dip down with her head. Talking to earlier this week, said she's done a pretty good job of it this week. Getting much better.
Well, Colin was on my bag when I won in '95 and '96, so he knows a little bit about U.S. Opens.
Yeah, it's just down the road.
That's right.
At Pine Needles. The 13.
Really tough shot here for Stephanie Meadow, and she looks to be aiming well left of the flag here. That is the safer route.
That was really well done, Mark. You know, a lot of speed there. You could hear the thump. Got a lot of spin on that. That was impressive.
Speaking of thump, Gary, it's something that Stacy Lewis has been working on. Her coach says she's been working on compressing the ball, getting through at impact, not just to impact.
Well, you see her there getting all the way to the finish. Did she pull it?
She did. She was trying to get it inside Paula Creamer's shot, but she...
Still not bad. That's very makeable. It's a slight uphill putt from there with a little bit of break to the right.
Stacy Lewis went on a tear. She's got a lot of birdies on her card. Does she have one more lap to post even? And let Michelle Wie look at that through the remainder of her back 9. Wie at 3 under the leader, and guess who is close by again? Little Lucy Lee at age 11, soaking it all up. Top-ranked player in the world, Stacy Lewis. Very, very carefully taking a look at this birdie putt. And Kay, you know, she knows what it means to get her to even and maybe with a chance.
She wants so badly to win this championship, and probably in the past it's hurt her how much she wants it. She's trying to manage her emotions better.
Well, you could see her there using her fingers, standing over the line of the putt. She's been working with Mark Sweeney, the guy that created Aim Point, and is now working with some of the players. We see it with Adam Scott quite a bit. And just another way of trying to improve her putting. This one's very makeable.
Stacy Lewis, and a 66 matches the best round of the championship. And now she will wait.
Well, she did exactly what she had to do, Dan, to have any chance whatsoever.
4 birdies in the back 9, Gary.
Yeah, wonderful rhythm to the stroke. Release the putter head. You see the putter head going past the shaft after she makes contact.
8 birdie effort, 4 bogeys. It's got to be the most birdies that anybody's made in a round here. Perhaps we'll check on that. But what a flurry of birdies for Lewis on this final round Sunday. Back at 17 for Lexi Thompson.
8 iron down the hill here at the par 3. Only for it to go. It did.
Thompson up +4, +1 on the day. Back over to 18. Can Creamer and Lewis go 3-3 here?
A little shorter version of the Payne Stewart putt. Just gotta hit it.
Both were looking for a birdie finish. Instead, Creamer hurt by that double at the 9th earlier. Tapping in for a +3 round 73. The 2010 champion at Oakmont broke through for the first time since that win at a tournament this year. You mentioned Payne Stewart. There is the statue behind the green at 18. Stewart the winner in 99, Campbell the winner in 2005, Keimer the winner a week ago. And will it be Michelle Wie to join the U.S. Open champions at Pinehurst to 15?
So-Yeon Ryu is this birdie attempt.
Yeah, we've seen this one before, Steve. This is very similar to where we saw Stacy Lewis putt from. So a little bit of break to the right, not much.
Quite the aggressive putt. It's hard to get the irons close, but you really got to be careful with the speed on the greens here. You can leave yourself with some tough putts coming back.
USGA saying this morning that the greens were going to run close to 13 on the stimp meter. So fastest they've been all week long.
Thompson over at 17 trying to move it to +3 again in that final group with Michelle yesterday. 74 quickly got within 1 of Michelle, but then had those back-to-back double bogeys at 8 and 9, which derailed her.
Well, she won the first major of the year, and I have a feeling we're going to see Lexi a few times in contention in major championships. She really has the right mental attitude as well as the game.
And a very powerful player. Has the chance to overpower golf courses, turn the par 5s into long par 4s.
And again, played in that final group in the desert with Michelle Wie, who just might be able to pick up the second major of the year.
Over at the 13th green, this is Julie Inkster, 4-8.
We've seen a few putts here, and they seem to coming down on the right side. It's just really fast, and again, you got to commit to those putts.
Everybody has missed it on the right from above the hole. Michelle Wie, in the meantime, has had a very lengthy wait. Julie Inkster actually putted it from behind the green, off the green. And we go to 15.
Hornanong Patlum to remain 3 over. Yeah, went racing in as well. That's aggressive putting here at 15. Over to 13.
Well, Well, Julie has been going back and forth. This is Stephanie Meadow for a birdie, Jane.
Yeah, this has seemed like an eternity for Stephanie Meadow to attempt her birdie after that lovely little bunker shot. Well, this is not the easiest of putts, Mark. Sure, it is quite quick and will break off to the right.
So a little generous in the amount of breaks she played there. She will remain at +2 for the championship. We go back to 15.
Used par attempt now. Gotta have it.
Yeah, I didn't like that stroke. Hands got well ahead of the putter face. You have to remember, back of your left hand equates to the putter face. If the left hand gets out in front, then the putter face is going to be open, and that's exactly what happened there. A slight push.
Reminder that the European Tour returns to Golf Channel and NBC. The road to the Open Championship begins in Scotland. Phil Mickelson a part of the field along with Rory McIlroy. Remember, that is where Mickelson won before he won his Open Championship last summer. It's the Aberdeen Asset Management Scottish Open this July on Golf Channel and NBC. Back to 13.
It's been a long and grueling day and hole here, the 13th for Julie Inkster, who now has this putt for a bogey. That was a beautiful stroke there, dead center. Back down at the tee now. It has been a fairly lengthy wait.
And Annika, does that have any effect, do you think, when you have to wait that long?
Well, it's hard to just stand there and wait and obviously watch what the players ahead are doing. I mean, the key really there is just not to think about, you know, what you have done or what's coming up. Just trying to relax your mind, and it looked like Michelle was just doing that.
She waited about 50 yards behind the tee in the shade. She said after yesterday's round she got a little hot, a little tired on the backside, so was trying to relax in the shade here prior to this tee shot. Hybrid club here. It's just that low stinger. Kind of headed up the right side of the fairway, right center.
Yeah, that's okay. That's going to find that right green side bunker, but plenty of green to work with, and you're playing back uphill. Mark, in the final round of the Men's Open, saw a number of birdies made from that position. Way more from the right than from the left.
No doubt about it. Less than 50% in sand safe tries from either one of those bunkers today, Gary, but the safer one has been the right bunker.
Yeah, in fact, Martin Keimer actually hit his tee shot in that right green side bunker, managed to get it up and down on Sunday.
Amy Yang now with a driver.
There's some wind helping here. She has a high ball flight, so that will aid this tee shot. High, or I should say helping it a little right to left as well. Solid, just kind of heading at that right green side, but maybe just inside of it.
Carried it all the way up onto the green, but unlike most Donald Ross greens, it's okay to be long here at 13. It's not great.
As long as you don't hit it a little too hard, Mark.
So Michelle Wie in the greenside bunker at 13 has a 3-shot lead, but it is Stacy Lewis who has now posted. Here's a reaction at 18. She is in the clubhouse at even par.
For the very first time, an historic back-to-back week, and Martin Keimer 8 under, 9 under last week, and Michelle Wie currently at 3 under, with Stacy Lewis in the clubhouse at even, and see where that is going to finish up. Out at 13 is the leader.
Second shot for Michelle into par 4.
Got room to work with here. It's going to be deep and right, but that's okay. Not her best bunker shot, but okay.
That will be a very difficult putt from up there, but it's a putt. Over to 14.
Stephanie Meadow getting ready for her second at this 429-yard par 4, Jane.
Yeah, and from the right side of the fairway, she's got a great angle to this front left hole location. Just 160 yards for Steph. Played for the Great Britain and Ireland team a couple of weeks ago at the Curtis Cup.
Yeah, there's more players other than just Lewis who have a chance here. Even though Meadow is 5 back, she's got some holes to deal with here.
Well, the good news for her is she knows exactly what she needs to do. I mean, you see Stacey Lewis in at even par, you know you need to make some birdies if you're going to get to that number.
Over 13 now, Amy Yang has got a very lofted club for her second shot from behind the green.
I guess going to elect to pitch it into the slope facing her immediately on the green and hope that continues. And if she hits it too hard, it'll be gone. That's a pretty nifty little play right there.
I'm sure I've seen another player, Roger, actually make that club selection from back there. But we have a moment. Let's go down to Kay Cockrell.
Thank you, Mark. I'm alongside Stacey Lewis, who just carded a 66, which ties the low score of the week with Inkster and Matthew. A tremendous day. What a difference a day makes. 8 birdies and 4 bogeys. What clicked for you last night on that practice putting green? It enabled you to go out and putt so beautifully today.
Well, we really just worked on alignment and found that, my hands were getting a little low at setup. And, when that happens, the putter breaks down and the head kind of releases. So that's what we kind of worked on. And that's all I thought of today. And it was just a cool day. I mean, it's amazing how your nerves start to affect you. And then with this golf course, it just makes it twice as hard. So just feels great to finish the way I did.
Yeah, birdie finish at 17 and 18. Reminiscent of how you won the British at St. Andrews. Birdie in the last 2 holes, you finished well ahead of the pack. Your thoughts on what those players have to do to try to maintain that lead?
Well, it's tough. I made some bogeys there coming in, and I think the hardest part about that final stretch now is, Michelle's got the nerves. She's seeing the leaderboard. You got a target. You have a number in your head. So I knew I needed to get out early today and post a number and see what happens and make Michelle earn it.
Yeah, you sure did. Beautiful round today, posting that number, sitting at even par for the championship. Congrats.
At the 13th green now, Michelle Wie with a birdie putt, but Roger, I would think she would dearly love a 4 right now.
Yes, and this is all about speed control, this putt. Downhill, quick. Let's try to get the right pace. Might go a little bit to her right, but that's not the big issue.
See how the tabletop style works coming down the stretch here.
This is pretty good.
That's excellent. Another par. That's all she needs.
Stephanie Meadows' 3rd shot at 14.
Go.
That's pretty well judged there. Leaving it under the hole. Smart play.
Good chance to save the par, remain at +2 in a tie for 3rd with Amy Yang. Lewis in there with that even mark. 8 birdies today in this round, most by anybody in a single round of this championship, and she matched the number of birdies she had in the first 3 rounds total there. So what a day for Stacey Lewis.
Amy Yang now with a chance to get 1 shot closer to Michelle Wie's lead. This for birdie at 13.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a nasty putt here. A little downhill, going to slide right.
Good call, Roger. Really good call there. So easy to miss that putt on the right if you're a right-handed golfer. Let's take a look. You've got to be convicted on this putt. She started it just on the left edge. Didn't quite have enough pace. So an opportunity squandered there for Amy Yang. Stacey Lewis didn't squander any in a round of 66. She trails by 3.
Back-to-back championships for Annika Sorenstam.
What a battle. Good looking putt, Jenny. You gotta be kidding me. And there it is. One of the most unlikely champions in the history of the U.S. Women's Open. Kari Webb has herself an Open championship. How about a birdie finish? Back-to-back champion and Pine Needles, title number 3 finally. Julie Inkster is finally a champion. She's got it!
Oh, what a reaction from Inkster.
Further to Scooter, might be good.
Birdie kill!
Are you kidding me? Morgan Tressel just got robbed.
Goodness. Meg Mallon has done it again. Christy Kerr has her major championship, the biggest one of all.
Good looking putt.
With a birdie at the 72nd hole. Paula Creamer has broken through. U.S. Women's Open title. Now it is sunk in. She's a Women's Open champion.
Look at this. Look at this. It's in.
It's in! Blowing up the putt.
That's the way to finish it off.
Well, last week our final men's open, our final women's open here on NBC. And Annika, you've been a big part of it all these years. The back-to-back wins and then the win. And then not a bad way to play your final U.S. Women's Open. Just hold it out at Interlaken, huh? I mean, an emotional time it's been in this championship. And I know how much it's meant to you in your career.
It has. I mean, I always, growing up in Sweden, this was the biggest championship for women in women's golf. And then obviously to make it my first win on the LPGA and then to hold out my last shot in my last US Open in 2008. It's I couldn't have scripted any better. So yes, for me to sit here and be part of it, it's still very exciting.
Recognize that little girl at Pine Needles and the Broadmoor? It was a long time ago, and you were just a shy little girl from Sweden.
Yes, I guess so. You can say I've come a long way, but no, golf has been a tremendous sport for me. And you know, you look at the players nowadays. I mean, the LPGA is really in good hands, and we're obviously thankful for all the founders, and they've paved the way for us.
Yeah, and it's been a pleasure, hasn't it, Dan, to get to see the greatest women players in the world and play some spectacular golf from time to time. I mean, we saw it in those highlights. They can really hit some wonderful shots.
And so can Michelle Wie, who wants to be a part of that highlight reel. This was just earlier off the tee at 14, kind of wanted to play that low shot right up the right side.
Is it going to hang in there? It's into the native area, but the lie appears to be fine. And here's that stinger that she likes to hit. Short backswing, hands lead the club head, hit down on it. Look how much of a divot she takes after she makes contact with the ball. And look how low, Dan. Good thing Roger wasn't standing in front of that one. That one wouldn't have gotten over his head.
I think he's got far too much experience.
I agree.
Now with the 15th, here's Stephanie Meadow. She's at 2 over par. 5 shots back. Needs to make a move here, Jane, right?
Yeah, barely a zephyr of breeze here. Needing to hit a good shot here to this back right hole location.
Yeah.
Not good.
No, that's got to be left.
And further left.
Yeah, kind of quit on it. Yeah. Hangs in there, yeah. I guarantee a lot of people would like to have had it there today.
Definitely not the worst shot we've seen so far today at 15 to 18 now.
Lexi Thompson finishing up the first major champion of the year for the ladies. And it finishes up pretty solid. 6 pars in a row to end the week at +4. Again, had higher hopes yesterday playing that final group 3-pack, but it is now Michelle Wie's show here at Pinehurst in the second major of the year for the ladies.
And her tee shot has just crept into the native area here to the right of the fairway, just off the edge of the fairway, but it's sitting very clean on firm sand. Got a nice angle at the hole, but I still got to believe center of the green is the idea. If you can keep it a little underneath and right of the hole, that's really going to give you your best chance of making 4.
Kinesio
taking just about 48. It's down there, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of rolled out. It feels a little bit further today.
It's just a cross.
Like 46?
Yeah.
The 8 iron, yeah?
Yeah.
Just that low hole?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go like just left of the flag to like end up to that big tree.
Yeah.
Like just left of that.
Well, they're talking about all the right things. Talking about keeping it below the hole. Talking about the number to the front edge of the green, which is all she needs to be looking at.
Yeah, this is a little left of the hole, but underneath it.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. It's not all bad. Up the hill from there.
Again, balancing that aggressiveness with a little bit of conservative play as well at the right times.
Yeah, just perfect technique again. Hands well ahead, hitting down on it. And Annika, a lot of times when the ball's in that firm sand like that, players don't mind that at all.
No, not at all. It's a good thing.
Yeah, very easy to control the ball off that firm sand.
Maybe Yang off the tee in trouble. Wading into the wire grass for her second.
And we'll have to swing through a little vegetation to get at it. And this one kind of came in dead.
So Yang lies 2 there, 5 back of Wee, who's just short of the green at the 14th. Leader by 3 as we head back to our studios for the NBC Sports Report. While we were away, the 3rd for Amy Yang at 14.
Ideally drive it in low, get it to hop at once and stop. So that's a good shot. Chance to save a par.
Stay at +2, 5 back. We go to 15.
Where Stephanie Meadow, who was unhappy with that tee shot here at the par 3, has this long birdie attempt.
It's much better pace there. How about this?
Huh? You deserve a smile after that effort.
Not within one. It doesn't matter if we chip or putter, right? Doesn't matter. Okay. Doesn't matter.
So, like, you think it'd be around here? Should I mark it, or what should I do?
Well, I think we can
Mark the ball at least, right?
You don't have to, but
okay.
you can if you want to be careful.
I just
but
want
the
to
nearest
try
point of
not
relief
closer.
is, I think the nearest point of relief is probably about 3 inches right of the ball.
Okay.
Somewhere in that.
I'll just mark it just so I'm not
that's
closer.
Fine. You're fine. That's good. You can clean that.
President of the USGA, Tom O'Toole Jr., explaining the situation to Michelle Wee, getting relief from the sprinkler head. And we've got our own guy up here, Thomas Pagel, to elaborate.
Yeah, Dan, what you see here, this is actually a local rule that was in effect for the championship. And what it says is if there's an immovable obstruction, so in this case a sprinkler head that's within 2 club lengths of the putting green and within 2 club lengths of the player's ball, the player gets a free drop. So you heard Tom walk Michelle through it. Player's going to find their nearest point of relief and drop at that spot.
And Thomas, the reason why you would implement that this week is because a lot of times the player would like to play the ball along the ground.
That's exactly right. With the closely mown surrounds here, players obviously have a lot of options. So if the player wants to keep the ball on the ground, we wanted to make sure that that option was available.
So Michelle Wee will come from behind the stick here for another look.
Right.
Well, it would certainly lead you to believe that she does intend to putt it after taking relief from the path. Yeah, there you go. And I think this putt swings a little bit left as he gets onto the green. And she's about 5 feet off the front of the putting surface. This is uphill. We'll swing a little left, and maybe as it dies, go back to the right some.
There's been so many highlights and lowlights, Annika, in her career. One that she was extremely criticized for was at the age of 14. Back in 2004, she became the 4th female youngest ever to compete on the PGA Tour when she played in the Sony Open. She missed the cut by a shot. She said she wanted to play with the best, but she was just coming off her first big win, the Women's Amateur Public Links Championship, and there was a lot of people who thought, what are you doing here?
Well,
you played in a men's event back in 2003 at Colonial.
I did, and looking back, that was probably one of the highlights of my career a little bit. You know, at the age of 14, there's a lot of golf to be played at her own age, and a lot of people were wondering, is this really the best place for a young girl to be and to test herself?
I always felt like you wanted to win. You wanted to learn to win at each level. You know, each age group, each level, you know, junior golf on to amateur golf before you come to the professional level. Yeah, well done.
That was a solid putt by Michelle. We're talking about what happened playing with the men, and we've just been tracking Michelle Wie intensely for more than a decade now because of all of her talents. And last night, Michelle says that whole journey has been nothing but a learning experience.
I've definitely made a lot of mistakes, you know, along the road. I've definitely done a lot of great things as well too, and I just learned from a lot of it. You know, I think that's what life is. There's ups and there's downs. Obviously, being under a microscope, it magnifies everything. But you know, I think if it wasn't for that, then I wouldn't be who I am today. I'm just really grateful for everything. Just because of all the downs, I think it made me more grateful for, you know, these opportunities that I have today.
She played in 8 PGA Tour events. She never made a cut in any of them, but she did become the second woman to make a cut in a men's event in the SK Telecom Open of the Asian Tour. But that was an experiment that didn't really work out earlier in her career. And now Amy Yang for the par. And that just sits on the edge. So suffice to say, Annika, Michelle Wie has been through it all, and this would culminate her greatest day of an adventurous career that has had more twists and turns than you could possibly imagine.
Absolutely. I think a win here would really calm all the critics and say that, you know, now she's on the right path, and you know, she's good for women's golf. She always brings a lot of attention, and she's fun to watch. I mean, we've seen it here for 3 days, and she can drive it, she can hit low ones, and you know, now with a short game in the place where it needs to be, I mean, she has a lot to offer. So this would be huge, of course.
She was saying too, Dan, you know, after she finished college, it was almost like the start of her second career. And if this is the start, I think we're going to see some wonderful things in the years to come. You know, we forget she's just 24. I mean, a lot of players are just starting to come into their own at that age. So, you know, with her talent, if she comes on to win this event, I think we're going to see her win a lot of golf tournaments in the very near future.
Kind of did reboot her career after the experience at Stanford. Kind of got away from the game a bit. Now the champion from 2012, Na Yun Choi, off the tee at 17.
Watching it intently. Oh, there's a nice little hop from the right side. Nice slope there, utilizing that beautifully.
So now live with the amateur. Ji Lee, just 18 years old.
This is right into that bunker. Not an easy bunker shot from there, having it landed right on the downslope.
And Ji Lee, coming off a couple of bogeys, has fallen to +8, and so it appears that Brooke Henderson, who's in with that 69, is going to be the low amateur among the 6 amateurs to make the cut in the 69th U.S. Women's Open. Over to 16.
Stephanie Meadows, second shot, Jane.
This is from 209, Mark. Back right hole location, can't afford to be long. Or to the right.
Center of the green is a good target here. If it peels a little right, so be it. Very hard to get it close today. In fact, this is the most difficult hole on the golf course right now.
And this one starting at the center of the green.
Run out.
That was well planned out and well executed, James.
Very good job.
I know. We drop kicked it.
Back to 15.
Here's a look at the green all the way back to the tee. 170 yards today, the farthest back. They have played this all week long. Michelle has had 3 pars so far. Monica, one of the things we talked to Michelle about yesterday was what it's like to carry the burden of being the favorite, not just coming into the week, but then with 18 holes to play. You know exactly what that's like. So what does it feel like as you make your way around a final round of a U.S. Women's Open, knowing that everybody is trying to hunt you down?
Well, I think the goal is to be the favorite. But it's hard to be the favorite because you're under the microscope and everybody's analyzing you every single shot. And I mean, I can just imagine how many dreams Michelle has had to win this championship, and here she is, just maybe 4 holes away from holding that trophy.
Yeah, 7-iron here, and obviously the center of the green a good play, but not much of a backdrop behind this green. It's just kind of a dome that sits up there with a backdrop. Well, she's shaping a little cut just left of the hole. Pretty looking shot.
This is fabulous. Absolutely in control.
Well, the closest shot we've seen all day on this particular hole. It's interesting. She hit 7-iron, which is the same club she hit on number 9. That is 25 yards shorter. So she knows really the different distances with the irons.
Well, if she's nervous, she's certainly not swinging like it, or as you see the smile on her face, acting like it. Beautiful shot there by Michelle. Roger, now Amy's turn.
She's got a 7-iron too. Totally different ball flight though. This ball flight much higher, much softer, not as spinny. This kind of pulled and drawing some toward the left side of the green. I think that might run off on the hole there.
Not much of a chance if you hit it towards these edges. Donna Ross will get a hold of that one.
Michelle Wie showing no signs of cracking. Beautiful shot into the par 3 15. 3-shot lead over Stacy Lewis in with her 66. And numerous times this week, Annika, I've seen you interact with young children and how much it means to them. Lexi Thompson doing the same, signing some autographs. That made that little girl's day.
While we were away, Amy Yang, we missed the green left, and well, was not happy with that effort with her second shot either.
Yeah, several times we've seen that result. Fortunately for Amy today.
17 now.
Second for Minjee Lee. You can barely see her head down there in the bunker.
Yeah, got it just landed out, Dan, and it is on a severe downslope. This is great. Look at this. What touch.
Nearly hold it.
There you go, Minjee.
Back at 16.
Let's take a look at the pinpoint animation here of what Stephanie Meadow is facing. It's a putt of about 30 feet. You can see there a little bit of an elevation change up to the hole. And a little bit of left to right break, maybe a foot or so. Jane?
Oh, you saved me reading it, Mark. It's a great thing, that pinpoint. But the trick here, I think, for Stephanie, she just had the benefit of watching Julie Inkster putt from the front of the green. It was quite slow. It's a little slower than you think, because it's very steep, the first third of the putt.
Tremendously impressive college career, 4-time All-American Stephanie. Lowest scoring average in the country. Now here she is at the Women's Open. That was a little bit right all the way, but a good 4, valuable 4 at 16. Back to 15.
While Meadow was putting, this is Yang's par attempt. A couple of ugly shots to start this hole. And it drops in there. That is what you call putting a stake on a black eye for Amy at 15. Go to 17.
And this for birdie for Na Yun Choi to get it to +5. Talked yesterday about the pressures she felt after she won her Women's Open title. A couple of years ago, was flirting with the #1 spot in the world. Kind of all got to her, and she's kind of had to reorganize her mental attitude. But she's come back from that to 15.
The leader to stretch her lead to 4. She'll take a 3, but great shot like she did. She was hoping for a deuce there at the par 3 15th. Michelle Wie, 3 holes remaining, has a 3-shot lead there.
And the 69th United States Women's Open is being brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on car insurance. By golfadvisor.com. Thousands of course reviews by golfers for golfers. By the Lexus LS, perhaps the most visionary vehicle on the road. And by Fidelity Investments. Championship Sunday at Pinehurst, and the aerial coverage again provided by Goodyear. Tires for superior performance. Where your drive takes you, Goodyear. More driven. Out to 18, Sonia Yu, who made an earlier run, still in pretty good position at +3 for birdie. Kay?
Yeah, overall a very good championship week for So-Yeon. This is just her 5th U.S. Women's Open, 5th of many, I imagine.
Yeah, she had that good start with 4 birdies in the first 7 holes, but she sprinkled in 3 bogeys on that front 9, so really couldn't get any big-time momentum. Final round 70 for the champion at the Broadmoor back in 2011. Up to 16.
Where Michelle Wie has only a few real dangerous shots left in this round, and this is one of them.
And got the 3-wood out again. Haven't seen the driver since the 10th hole, so that club's pretty much been put away. But that low bullet, if she can get it turning over right to left, would really work well here. And she is using that again, and this cutting a little bit, but it's going to be okay, I think. Headed toward that bunker.
It will make the bunker, and it's a question of how far up and in it gets.
Well, it's not the worst place to hit it. I mean, you know, a 5 here is not going to kill her by any means.
Stephanie Meadow, again, her first professional event in solo 3rd as she steps to the tee at 17 with a 6-iron.
Impressive young player. I got to see her at the Curtis Cup a couple of weeks ago. Even though her team lost, she still acquitted herself very well. This is 6-iron.
As an amateur at that Curtis Cup.
Go.
Started it right there. Okay, it carries. That was a very quick downhill putt.
Coming down to the final few groups. Michelle Wie in the final group. 3 clear of Lewis. 3 left to put it away. Grace of the game, all on that trophy. And to put your name on it at Pinehurst #2 solidifies your spot in the history of this game. And Michelle Wie could be breaking through at Pinehurst in the Women's Open at the home of American golf.
Here you see a good look going through the yardage books. Not just one. She got a book from Ricky Fowler. She got a book from Keegan Bradley. So, you know, she's had all kinds of notes that she's been using this week. In fact, she made the statement she studied more before this tournament about this golf course than any other one she's ever studied.
Roger, what's the line look like?
Well, a little bit of a downhill lie, and the ball has settled ever so slightly. But it's the kind of shot, really, you can kind of hit a low scooter. I would think what you don't want to do is hit it in either that cross bunker on the left, well short of the green, or into that bunker that is well short and right of the green as well. Just get it somewhere in front of it if you can. Well, this is going right, and this is going to head for that bunker. It's a long bunker shot from in there.
You got it in the sand.
That was a very impressive play when it didn't need to be. I mean, that was a hybrid club that, you know, you could have hit a 4 or 5 iron out of there and put yourself down there 40, 50 yards short of the green.
Or you could have hit an 8-iron, Gary, and put it short of that cross bunker that Roger was talking about. Now Amy Yang.
Yeah, this from 203. Great angle from this left-hand side, but this hooking to the left.
Every now and then Roger, her tempo gets so slow that you know, her body just quits moving, and the club just turns over too quickly.
Stephanie Meadow has to go birdie to tie Lewis in the clubhouse at even. This is her birdie attempt at 17.
Tough long putt, about 40 feet. Downhill, a little bit of a double breaker. She'll break right at the end.
It's very quick. She's judged the pace nicely.
This is some impressive player. She looks like she belongs right now.
Yeah, what impresses me the most is she's, you know, very smart also. She's made some really good saves to hang in there. It's not easy out there. It's hot. They're grinding all day long, and you know, she seems to have the game for these type of golf courses.
Just 22 years old from Northern Ireland. A great smile as well. Wednesday, Brooklyn's best cop needs a lift. Her cases, his cab. Taxi Brooklyn premieres Wednesday, 10/9 Central here on NBC. And back over to 17, Julie Inkster began the day with hopes of making a run, 4 back, but now at +8. And a look at all those bogeys to start her front 9, and then more on this back 9, including the last at the 16th. So didn't work out for 53-year-old Hall of Famer with 7 major titles and 2 championships in this event as well. But still a good week, Annika, at this age in the fight for a lot of the way, and she rolls that one in.
Typical Julie Inkster, always gives the drama to the crowd. And you know, it's funny, we were talking this morning and thought, you know, if she wins, she's gonna pick herself for the Solheim Cup.
That would be a gutsy one.
This is not a very good scene, Dan. At 16, they have not yet found Michelle Wie's golf ball. It must have carried the bunker just the finger of the bunker, and there is a big bush there. We never saw it bounce.
Pointing up in here.
And spectators are trying to direct people as to where they feel the ball is, but it can't be any place good, that's for sure.
Take a look at the tail end of this shot. It appeared to me to be coming down just on the right corner of that bush.
I didn't think it went towards the street.
It is very close to that bush if it's not in it.
Yeah, I thought it was right of there too.
It's certainly not as far right as Michelle is wandering over there now.
Thomas Pagel, the length of time that they have to search for this ball.
Yeah, Dan, they're going to have 5 minutes from the time they started search. So you saw Tom O'Toole just glance down at his watch a second ago. I'm sure he started the clock when they walked up, and they have a few minutes remaining.
You can hear the folks in the gallery yelling out their belief as to where that ball might have landed.
Well, there is a scenario saying it could be in the face of the bunker, so there's a confusion here as to where this ball is, obviously.
I think where Mike Davis is looking there is actually too far to the right of the line the ball came in. It is just barely to the right of the big bush right there. Can't be more than a foot or 2 to the right of that. It looks to me like it did maybe come down short of it.
I think Michelle's looking in the area right there. That's what's in front of that bush. Looks like they might have it.
Yes, it is. It is 91.
I mean, you certainly can mark it and lift it.
Yeah, I see it.
This ball is embedded in the base of a bottom of one of these wire grass clumpings, so I don't know if she can get the club on it. I really haven't been able to see it, and I'm standing behind it. It can't be good. I wouldn't think there's any real good thing to do with this.
She certainly could learn a lesson from a mistake Lucy Lee made yesterday. Amy Yang is going to go ahead and play out here in the fairway. Her ball ricocheted off the tree back into play, so this is her 3rd. But Roger, there wouldn't be any reason for Michelle Wie to try and play backwards when in fact she could take an unplayable lie and go backwards.
That's exactly the option she's looking at right now, is that unplayable, keeping that point of the unplayable lie between herself and the hole. But that would be under penalty of 1 stroke, and she would be playing 4 from here now.
She's already played aggressive on this hole. I think the best move right now is just to drop it, get her on the green, because these are the occasions that can rattle a player.
She has to be thinking, Annika, how do I make no worse than 6 and maybe have a chance at 5, but no worse than 6?
That's absolutely right.
That's good. Or
I mean, it's just whatever number you want to.
She's trying to figure out her, you know, the whole location today is only 9 on.
Right?
She's trying to get a yardage that she likes, that she practices, that she's comfortable with, so she can go as far back on that line as she wants, keeping that point between her and the ball.
Yeah, the fuller the swing, the more spin she can put on the ball. And also, it'd be great if she got a little green instead of brown.
There's no irrigation system on the sides of these fairways, Annika, so I don't think there's much green over there right now.
Definitely trying to go a little left of it. Left of it, a little past it. Huh? That's okay. What's that one?
These are never easy, are they, Annika?
You know, I'm looking at this shot and I'm just wondering what she is thinking. Well, she's certainly taking her time, making sure she's getting the right yardage. But the key is obviously the execution. But she has these shots, 100 yards in it.
This is about 80 yards.
I think 70 to the line at 70.
I didn't know. It's going to come down to the row.
And now there is cause for stress.
Yes, there is. As long as it makes a 6 here, it'll be a one-shot beat with 2 to play. Very different.
Pretty much the way she described it, a little long, a little left. That'll be 23 or 24 feet down the hill, a little slider to the right. So we go up to 18.
And Stephanie Meadow now needs to hole this shot if she's to tie Stacy Lewis.
Well, this is going to be a shot from 142 yards. Good lie, right side of the fairway to this back right hole location. Slightly helping breeze and from the right.
This is wherever she finishes is going to be her first check, and not a bad one either.
Yeah, good point.
And that increased the price money this week as well. So good to see the USGA commit to the ladies a little extra. It's appreciated.
Coming in low, just left of the flag.
Sounded like it was hit just a little thin, but it worked out nicely. Thin, they usually release a little bit. Right up at the top of the slope. Okay.
So Meadow out of the championship chase officially and back to 16.
Well, Roger, I said it was 23 or 24 feet, but it must look like half a mile to Michelle Wie right now.
Well, now you really do wonder what's going on inside, don't you? Just what the reaction to these turn of events is taking on her head. But this is a putt now that's going to move from left to right.
Good time for the Village Chapel chimes. Inspire her maybe to save a 5.
It is really a good time to stay in the moment. Just focus on this putt.
So at best, Michelle Wie can walk off the 16th with a double bogey 6, but she still has 5 feet left before she could make that score, up to 18.
This was just earlier, Mark, from 141 yards. Julie Inkster coming off that nice birdie at 17.
Julie's always been able to hoist those irons up in the air and get them to land softly. Good shot.
Been able to hoist a lot of trophies through the years. And she gets a big round of applause. In fact, most of the jam-packed stands here on their feet as Julie Inkster, who will turn 54 years old on Tuesday, comes up. You look at a recent U.S. Women's Open record, and she has barely played the weekend in the last several of these championships. But man, she put it all together yesterday to give herself some hope. Back at the 16th.
Just a moment ago, this was Amy Yang for a par. So get up and down there. And now Michelle Wie live from about 5 feet. She came to the 16th tee with a 3-stroke lead. If this does not go in, that lead will be gone.
I'm sure Stacy Lewis is watching this, and the question is, do you start heading to the range or start putting a little bit?
Wouldn't you, Annika? I would.
I certainly would as well.
Stacy Lewis is in fact on the range right now. There she is. She will be able to tell by the reaction whether Michelle made it or not. She goes on to win this championship. She will look back at that one and say that was a really good double after the mess I made of that hole.
I like the reaction too. Big smile on her face. That's nice.
Take a look at the low angle of this putt. Nice short backswing. Aggressive through dead center.
That's what it's been about for Michelle Wie. Mark, you've known her a long time, and you've also known her parents a long time, BJ and Bo. There is her mom, Bo, who is still very active. In fact, it's kind of been a flip-flop of roles between dad and mom. She's really the one underneath the ropes and very involved in Michelle's golf from day to day. Now, at 18, Inkster trying to finish off with 2 birdies.
Uphill, slow, got to hit it.
Julie has done so much for the game, and she's very popular amongst the other players.
And here she is playing with a 22-year-old and very popular with the young women out here. And she gets a chance to play with a lot. Says it kind of helps her stay young. A lot of the players she plays with are younger than her own daughters, who, by the way, are not here this week. And Julie's always sense of humor. She says, hey, this isn't the Hamptons. They were there last year. Now it's 17, final group.
And 7-iron for Amy Yang. Wind coming across from left to right. Just a little right of the hole. Pretty good shot.
This is not an easy hole location, but the ladies are making it look easy. It's pretty undulated down there at the front.
Okay, so you take a deep breath. Organize your thoughts again. Coming off a double bogey. She hadn't dropped a shot since the opening hole.
No, hold on.
I like 8. I mean, cut 8. I think it's perfect. It's going to go with the wind, you know? Yeah. I think 7's just too small.
They have been omnipresent throughout Michelle Wie's career.
Yeah, it's helping. It's like kids. Yeah, I think just not 1 from 3 short. They're at the shadow. 2 over ball.
At times there are many who feel that they have been too involved.
Well, she's got an 8-iron out, and I like this club choice. If anything, make your mistake in front of the green. I think right now is the time to go at it pretty hard, don't you?
Oh, I agree, Raj. I mean, anytime you're feeling a little anxious, you don't want to be trying to hit something easy. Take a shorter club and go ahead and hit it hard.
Good.
shot lead as she will have a birdie put up coming at 17. Meadow for birdie up at 18.
She knows it's slow. She watched Inkster's putt.
What a finish for Stephanie Meadow in her very first event as a professional. How about a pair of 69s on the weekend? Welcome to the big time, Stephanie Meadow. Maybe Wee's about ready to take her step into the big time as the champion here. Michelle Wie looking through that yardage book, maybe just to kind of distract her from the moment at hand. Just a couple of holes away from perhaps winning her first major championship, but it has not been easy down the stretch. A double at the 16th. It's safely on the green in regulation here at 17. Amy Yang will play first here with her birdie attempt. Roger.
Well, on a different line, but also from behind the hole. And this should give Michelle a good indication of the pace of this coming down the hill. This will go right to left. But I would be watching very closely at the speed around the cup.
Fast, isn't it, Raj?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good downhill.
Oh, yeah. Pretty good slope here. So Michelle should pay much attention.
Amy Board in Korea. Really a similar type of sturdy build as Saeri Pak, who started the huge floodgates of Koreans coming over to this country and playing on the LPGA Tour. In fact, she remembers watching Saeri early in the morning back in '99 when she won that championship at Black Wolf Run.
I think one of the reasons why she hasn't done so well is obviously the mental aspect of the game, but she's very shy. She doesn't like the limelight, and that reminds me a little bit when I was young, you know, making mistakes down the stretch just to avoid it. It could be scary sometimes.
Yeah, you were shy, but you handled it pretty well coming out of the gates with a couple of U.S. Women's Open titles. How old were you when you won your first?
I was 24, and guess how old Michelle is?
24. Amy Yang, 24. So certainly with everything that we've seen from Michelle through the years, it is time.
But
right
not like
now.
where you've had a flat lie.
If there is a playoff, it's a 3-hole aggregate. 1, 17, and 18, and if they're still tied, they go to sudden death.
I'm sure the trees used to kill though, like there's some winds
Look at you played the final 18-hole playoff in U.S. Women's Open history when you and Pat
family
Hurst,
just reached North Carolina.
head at Newport Country Club all those years ago. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We got a birdie putt for Michelle here.
Hooking and quick. This is where you putt like Ben Crenshaw used to, Gary, huh? Pick the high line.
Absolutely. As high as possible. If you're going to miss on the high side because the ball is moving toward the hole. If you get it too low and it has any speed, it wants to run away.
Still not a single 3-putt in this entire championship. This one was a bit more demonstrative. After a double at 16 to come back with a birdie at 17. It sure does look like Michelle Wie's ready for a major breakthrough here. Is too. They know what she's been through. They know how hard she's worked. And this was Stacy Lewis and her caddy on the range while this was happening.
She made it.
Made it?
Hey, buddy.
You can hear her caddy say she made it. Stacy Lewis says she made it. All right, let's hit another one and hope for Not good things for Michelle at 18, but a 2-shot lead is huge at this.
And you have to give her all the credit in the world, Annika. I mean, I'm not sure the Michelle Wie of old would have handled the situation at 16 the same way, and especially not have been able to come back even at 17 the way she did. But we saw it. Didn't get out of her routine. Played every shot like she was focused on what she needed to do with that one single shot.
Remember all those examples? Remember all the rules situations that Michelle got into and didn't make the right calls on? And I mean, criticized for that. Been through a lot. Here she is, one final hole.
Through here, little baby right in the middle.
This was a beautiful pickup 17.
Watch this ball roll. This ball's going to roll 50 yards.
Michelle Wie is going to take a walk-up 18 that she's been dreaming about as far back as she can remember. Birdie falls in at 17, and wow, does that feel good. Americans to win the U.S. Women's Open since 2000. Julie Inkster at Prairie Dunes in 2002. Final round 66 got it done. One of the biggest surprises in the championship's history. Hillary Lucky in that emotional win at Pumpkin Ridge. Meg Mallon, one of the best putting performances we've ever seen at the Orchards. Christy Kerr breaking through just down the road at Pine Needles in 2007. And then Paula Creamer back in 2010. But 5 of the last 6 Women's Opens have been won by South Koreans. And so American Michelle Wie with a chance to win on the mainland here. Her 3 previous LPGA Tour victories, one in Mexico, one in Canada, and then earlier this year in her home state of Hawaii. And so to get it done, the Mecca, the home of American golf, I can't imagine a better time, place to finally get it done.
I hope she's enjoying her walk. It's not often you get a chance to really soak it in. I mean, we work so hard every day and dream about these championships, and then to be able to walk up 18, just like Michelle is doing now, just to let it soak in, there's nothing better.
You know, can't help but think of the tabletop putting style and all the influences that have come in around Michelle Wie, her life and her career through the years. Influence of her parents, good or bad. Influence of the media, everybody criticizing her throughout the way. But that was her idea solely, the tabletop putting style. And it really
Yeah, you want to leave it like 20 max.
one of the biggest pieces to putting it all together
Yeah.
here. Finally, the putting, not a single 3-putt. And the birdie buries at 17 to give her the 2-shot lead.
Dan, actually 25 1-putts in this championship on some very difficult greens.
You don't have to look cool, but you're going to look cool with that trophy.
111.
103. Not 60 short. Sorry.
121.
Yeah.
And short.
105. 108.
Yeah, I think that's probably good. Then with the outs 121. 10 short 111. I think that can be 12 short. Yeah, 110 is good. Got a breath of out right to left.
Line at 110?
Yeah.
A little downwind?
A little bit.
Just that 52, yeah? Maybe just make it roll a little bit?
I think just that little 3/4.
Yeah. I think just playing 105.
Yeah.
Right the shadow?
Bogey wins it.
We've got her at 120 to the hole. I got to assume, Gary, if this gets hole high, it's a mistake.
Yeah, well, they were talking in terms of trying to hit a shot that went 110 yards.
Yeah. Solid contact left of the hole. Decided okay. Right where you would expect it.
Imagine how excited mom and dad are to see this moment. Their little girl with all that potential finally put it all together. The Tiger Woods of her generation. I mean, as far as expectations go of the LPGA Tour, that is the kind of expectations that were put on her shoulders at a very young age. 13, 14 years old.
And you have to, Dan, part of that, though, was brought on herself. I mean, she brought it on herself by playing in those men's events and everything else. Had she gone a more normal path, I think, that expectation level would have gradually come up.
She did fan the flames a little bit. Beautiful shot by Yang. Journey this has been, and 3 putts away from winning the biggest title in women's golf. You can only wonder of the emotions that are swirling through Michelle Wie right now. There's that yardage book out, almost as if to distract her from what is about to happen.
Sticking to her routine. I mean, we've seen this on virtually every hole, so she knows the job's not done yet.
I would also argue that this could be the beginning of another journey for Michelle Wie.
Amy Yang to play first here for birdie. Raj.
And to clear the stage. Yeah, just a little downhiller. Might go a little left.
Have to be quite an experience, learning experience for Amy Yang as well. Got off to that horrendous start. +4 in the first 4 holes, but hung in there for a while, but watched as we eagled the 10th and pulled away from her. They're good friends though, and you can imagine what she soaked up today during this final round experience with the golfer that moves the needle the most among the ladies. And you mentioned it earlier, Annika, what a shot in the arm for women's golf. It has been a sensational season on the LPGA Tour for the Americans, and to win their championship, have an American win their championship, this momentum gets a huge boost into the second half of the season this year.
Absolutely. I'm obviously very happy to see that. And Mike Whan, the commissioner of the LPGA, has done a very good job as well. And of course, it helps when you have players like Michelle Wie and Stacey Lewis and Lexi Thompson playing so well.
All she needed was a bogey, so you want to go through the routine. You don't want to make the only 3-putt of the championship week at the last. You want to kind of finish it off in style. And Michelle Wie has certainly had plenty of that through the years. Championship is the U.S. Women's Open. Extremely popular with her fellow competitors and players on the LPGA Tour. And like Michelle, you know they're going to soak up her success because she is just so well liked. And there is Stacy Lewis, the top-ranked player in the world, who was hoping to get into a playoff with Michelle. But with that birdie putt that dropped at 17 to give her a 2-shot lead, finishes it out with a par at 18 and a round of 70 for a 2-shot win. Biggest of her career. And remember, she's only 24. Let's send it down to Steve.
Barely over the drinking age, and she's soaked right now, Dan, in Champaign. Michelle, congratulations. How were you able to handle the pressure out there today?
I just had a lot of fun. It was just like I said yesterday, I woke up so excited. I just was so grateful for this opportunity, and I definitely got a lot of goosebumps walking up 18 just because I, thought to myself how cool it was. I kind of had the same putt as Martin. Didn't quite hit it as hard as him, but oh my God, I can't believe it's happening.
After what happened to you on the 16th hole, how big was that birdie putt at 17, and what were you thinking standing over that ball?
Yeah, I kind of smiled after I made my double bogey putt. I was like, I just like to make it hard for myself. But 17, I kind of played well there the last couple of days, and that putt just nicely went right at the end. But yeah, it was awesome.
Through all the highs and lows, through all the ups and downs, did you ever have any doubt that you would be standing here as a U.S. Women's Open champion one day?
Obviously, there are moments of doubt in there, but at the same time, I just had so many people around me, surrounding me, my family, my friends, my coaches, Dave Ledbetter, everyone, my agency, IMG, they never lost faith in me. I think that's what kind of pushed me forward, and it's amazing.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Dan, there she is, the U.S. Women's Open champion.
She'll be small for a while. They've been there through it all, obviously. Special championships to get a privilege to commentate on, and I would put this right up there because we have been talking about Michelle Wie seemingly forever, Annika, and again the ups and the downs, and just when it looked like she wasn't going to be able to dig herself out of the putting slump and the real valleys of her life that she kind of went through, this is a pretty cool moment.
It's a very cool moment. I think it's fantastic for women's golf, and she was a favorite coming into here, and I think everybody thought she can do it, but can she make the putts? And sure did she make the putts. It's been an amazing 2 weeks to come here to make history, being back-to-back, and then of course have Michelle Wie as a champion. I don't think it gets much better than that.
Well, I thought she handled the situation wonderfully well. Remember what Stacy Lewis said after she finished at even par? I'm going to make Michelle earn it. Guess what? She earned it.
She did. Not a single 3-putt in this championship. Tabletop style for Michelle Wie. And if you missed any of today's action, get caught up with Golf Central next on Golf Channel. And then join us in 3 weeks on NBC as the world's best senior golfers go to Oak Tree in Edmond, Oklahoma for the United States Senior Open Championship. Live third-round action begins Saturday, July 12th at 2:30 on NBC. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it's your local news. Then starting at 7, 6 Central, it's American Ninja Warrior, followed by a special all-new America's Got Talent at 9, 8 Central. Well, we've known about this talent for so many years, but Michelle Wie does indeed finally put it all together. U.S. Women's Open champion 2014. Good night from Pinehurst.